Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the 4LadsHadADream podcast. I'm your host, my name's Stevie Clifford. Rangers are top of the league, we're in a very good mood. Joining us tonight is regular sidekick and co-host from the Herald and Evening Times and Sunday Herald group, Mr. Chris Jack. Chris, how are you?
Very good, Stephen. Thanks for having us on as always. Good to be here.
Thanks for joining us, Chris. Also joining us tonight is a regular podder. She is a star of the English football leagues down south, ex-Rangers and currently with Durham and doing very well down south this season. Kathryn Hill. Kathryn, how are you tonight?
I'm good, thanks. It's good to be back on.
Thanks for coming back on. And our ex-Ranger tonight is league winner and League Cup winner in 2011, Mr. Gregg Wylde. Gregg, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, mate? All right?
Yeah, good. Thanks for coming on, Gregg. Most of you now that will listen will know the format of our podcast, where we will go straight into it and interview Gregg on his time at Rangers, and then we will come back afterwards and we'll talk to Kathryn, we'll talk to Chris about Rangers. Obviously, Rangers top of the league. There's a lot to discuss. There's a lot of positives. But before we go, we're going to journey back and talk to Gregg about his time at Rangers. Gregg joined Rangers when he was 14 from Celtic Youth. Gregg, obviously there's a less pressure at that age making the switch across the city, and it's more. It happens more often for youth players. But how did you find that switch at that early age?
I know people think jumping ship from Celtic to Rangers at such a young age, you don't really know nothing about it. But at the time, I worked under Tommy Burns at the time, who my dad knows really well as well. I was there at a young age. Used to go there after school. Used to train at Barrowfield every Monday night and a Tuesday night. Used to play my games on a Saturday. Then a couple of years down the line, Craig Mulholland, asked me if I wanted to go to Rangers at the time, and I couldn't. I think he spoke to my dad at the time about it, and I couldn't really, say yes at the time because I was enjoying myself at Celtic. And then I think a year after that, I wanted to go back over to Rangers to do a switch. It was a switch for a boy there called Sean Fitzharris. So he wanted to switch me and Sean. He would go to Celtic and I would go to Rangers. And that's how it all came about.
At the time you went to Rangers were, they had a pretty good, successful youth side. And I remember actually, I watched and I travelled a lot to watch the youth at that time with Gary Lynch, myself, Ross Matheson. There was a kind of small group of us that used to be at most of the games. In that time, obviously, there was Danny Wilson, the likes of Jamie Ness and things like that. But you were actually part of a successful youth side. I remember we won the league that year. Pip and Hibs, if memory serves me right.
That's correct.
Hibs were a really good youth side. What was it like? The youth side, and obviously playing your part in that early success, and did it give you the taste for more?
Yeah, if you look back, the team that we had, starting in goal, you had Grant Adam, who's Charlie's boy. We had Danny Wilson, we had John Fleck, we had Cal Naismith, Cian Hemmings in the team. The team and Jamie Ness at the time as well, and we had such a good set of young boys in the team that we were, like you said, we were winning in the league. And then we got to the final twice. I think Celtic beat us and Hibs beat us the following year that season. But to be a part of such a great team and you've set up at that time, boys were going up to the first team, training with the first team maybe like once a week, twice a week, coming down every morning, and then Billy Kitwood or Tommy Wilson or Jimmy Sinclair would tell about one of the boys or two of the boys to go and train with the first team, and I think that helped us in the league, the youth league campaign as well, because it boosted our squad massively. We boys went to train with the first team every day, and then I think we were all up to the first team, and we were just learning things to take into the youth games at the weekend.
You were predominantly a left back at the early sort of start in youth, if I remember rightly.
That's correct, yeah.
But obviously you had blistering pace and you had a tremendous left foot, ability to whip in the cross and things like that. And you really stuck out in the youth at that age, and obviously you've made an impression training with the first team and things. What was it like with the first team? What was Walter and Ali like for you and stepping up to that sort of stage?
I can remember my first time being round, actually. I was so nervous. It was incredible because I'm training with the boys like Barry Ferguson, Nacho Novo at the time, when I was going round, I was training with them, and I went round once, and then I never went back round for the next couple of weeks, and then I went back round again, trained with the first team, and then since then I was training with the first team nearly every day, and I was learning a lot of things throughout the training sessions that you work under with Ali and Walter. Walter's a very successful manager, and boys put 100% in every training session, and it was great. It was unbelievable. It was always something I've dreamed of. As a Rangers fan growing up, training with top players and every week. Then I came in one day, and then I think it was one of the boys, youth boys, says that you've been moved into the first team. And I says, aye, all right. I thought he was winding us up. And then Tommy Wilson actually came in and told me that, you've been moved out to the first team. And I walked round that. I can actually remember walking round. I didn't take my boots or my clothes in it. And I just walked round and see if it was true. And then Jimmy Bell says, aye, your lockers, blah, blah, blah. So I seen my locker saying GW. I was like, wow, it was surreal. And I had to go back down to the youth changing room, and I says, boys, I'm away. And then I started laughing. Then I walked into the first team changing room. Then since then, I've never, looked back at all. The youth set up at Rangers helped me massively. Building up the first team squad, preparing yourself every morning to look forward to a tough session.
Your home debut comes 2009, just at the start of the season, at home to Hamilton. Now, if memory serves me right, we won that game 4-0.
That's correct, yeah.
And it would have been one of the rare occasions we've seen Andy Webster, who would have scored a header, I think, in that game.
Yeah, I think I came on for Kenny, didn't I? I came on for Kenny Miller.
That's right. So you came on at the end. You made your debut. How did that feel for you? And you're obviously now accepted as part of the first team and things like that.
It was nerve-wracking to come in on a Friday after training. The sheet was up. I was in the squad for the first time. I think, wow, couldn't believe it. And so Saturday came. We had a pre-match at Ibrox. Then usual routine, we sat in the lounge bit at Ibrox, just watching an early kick-off on the TV, and then me and seeing the gaffer walking in with Ali and Kenny. Everybody went quiet. That's what happens when Waller walks in. When it means business. And so I'm sitting at the back of the room, think myself, just might be sitting in the stand because I'm a young boy, just get me running with the first team squad. And then he flips the sheet up. My name was on the bench. I'm like, wow. So straight away I'm on the phone to my old man and my mum at the time, and because my mum and dad were coming to the game at the time, and so I texted him saying I'm on the bench, and my dad actually texted me back saying unbelievable. That was it, unbelievable. And then my mum texted me back with boy of love hearts. And then so the game came. I think we were 3-0 up, 4-0 up. It was 20-25 minutes to go, and I was warming up down the side, and then I seen Ali waving, and I didn't think it was me. I don't know who was behind me, and so I turned my back, and the boy who touched me saying he wasn't sure, and I turned and I was like, me? And he says, aye. So I ran in and he said, take your stuff, you've gone on, you go make your debut, wee man. I was like, wow. So I went on, and when you're walking from the actual bench to the touchline and you go on, you're looking up to the stands, and I looked behind me at the time and I seen the main stand packed. I'm like, wow, I'm playing in front of 50,000 here, coming on. And then I came on, and since then I've not really looked back.
2010, 2011 was a massive season. You've obviously at this point you've kicked on. You're now a proper first team squad member. I mean, and by that I mean that you've made the transition up and you've stayed there. You're fully training and you're properly involved. Was there any point where for you it became a difficult transition, or was it all just a case of after making that move and things like that, you took it in your stride and you're now a Rangers first team player? And because I mean, obviously it must have been, as you said, it was nerve-wracking at points, but with training with Walter and Walter now being your direct boss and things like that, and yourself being a Rangers fan, how did you cope with that? Was it all plain sailing, or was there bumps in the road?
There was bumps in the road at the time where you were in the team or you were on the bench, but I can visually remember that we played Kilmarnock in the cup down at Rugby Park, the time Andy Little scored with the volley. I played in that game. And then since then, I came out the team and I was on the bench, coming on the bench, coming on, and training every day. And it came along where we played PSV Eindhoven away in Europa. And then I came on in that game away in Eindhoven and making your European debut in Eindhoven. The following week we played PSV at home, and I started that game, I'm sure, and to play the full game on the Thursday when you knew you had the League Cup final on the Sunday against Celtic. I thought, I'll probably be, on the bench because you might bring experience in for the cup game and on the Sunday against Celtic. And then, funny enough, I seen the sheet again. We stayed at Mar Hall on the Saturday night, and then on the Sunday we had a meeting at Mar Hall, and he flipped the chart up again, and my name was starting against Celtic, and that was my first start against Celtic, and it's one of the biggest games in the world. Obviously, everybody knows, and I was like, wow. It took me about 25 minutes to sink in that I was playing an Old Firm game at Hampden, where it was a massive crowd, big game. The bragging rights with it, Celtic winning or Rangers winning, and to win the game on Sunday was nothing that I'll forget. It was one of the best days of my life.
Before we go on to talk about the League Cup final, because obviously that was a massive day. There were some huge personalities in the dressing room at that time. Rangers, obviously, there was the likes of Kenny Miller, Stephen Davis, Nikita Jelavic up front. You had the young guys, likes of Vladimir Weiss and obviously Davy Weir at the back and things like that. But then you had the massive characters like Elhaj Diouf. Who were the ones that kind of stood out for you, and who were the ones that maybe put their arm around your shoulder and were kind of guiding you as kind of one of the younger ones? And who was the kind of the ones that kept the dressing room going on a daily basis?
The ones that kept me in the look, as in looking after me, what you said, putting an arm around me, was probably most of the boys. I wouldn't want to single anybody out. I thought every player and every person in the change room looked out for each other. Stephen Davis, we actually, I can tell you a funny story about that. When the League Cup final, when we won, obviously I was a young boy, and they were going back to Ibrox, and then we were going out after it because we won the League Cup, and then I think I'm only a young boy, and I didn't have any money at the time with me, and I says to Dave, I can't go out at all. And he says, how? I said, I've got no money. And he says, you've got no money? I said, my bank card's at my mum's. So I was getting changed at Hampden to go back on the bus back to Ibrox, and then he came back up to the back of the bus, and he gave me money because he didn't want me to go back home to come back to Ibrox again. So he gave me money. I said, oh, thanks very much. And he says, no, it's fine. I says, I'll get it back. And he says, no, you just keep it. So that was the kind of personality he is. He looked after the young boys. And then you had the father figure in the team, Davy Weir, who was the captain at the time. Then you had the joke in the team, Kyle Lafferty. Yeah, it was a changing room where everybody looked out for each other, and I couldn't really, like I say, single anybody out. Rangers were really, really strong at that point. Obviously, things had gotten better slightly at that point. The debt had come down. We'd managed to spend money on Nikita Jelavic, and it was a really close title run. Celtic were a good side then, and Rangers then played Dundee United at home. We get beat 3-2 and were faced, if memory serves me correctly, I think we had 9 games left, and we had to basically go on a run and win these games. And you were heavily prominent in that. And at that point, there was a real excitement about you on the left wing because of your pace, and you were an outball that perhaps we didn't have. And it was really, we were really capitalising that. And we went on that run. We went up to Aberdeen. We won 1-0. Nikita Jelavic for an amazing overhead kick, and as the running got closer, you were heavily prominent with assists at home to Hearts in a big game, smashing cross from the left hand side as well. And you were really, one of the first names on the team sheet of that. How did you feel and the squad feel, in the run in that, because we were chasing Celtic before they went up to Inverness? Was there a determination and a belief
and how did you cope with the demands of a title running?
That time we were nine games to go, and we had a meeting, and we were just saying that, you know, if you win every game, 9 games to go, if you win every game, you see where it takes us. And like you said there, we played Hearts at home, we played Aberdeen away. That was 2 massive games. We picked up 6 points. It picked up 3 points at Pittodrie and then 3 points at Ibrox. And when we played Hearts at home and Celtic were away at Inverness, I think it was, and Celtic got beat by Inverness, and we came back in that type of change room. We seen Celtic getting beat, and we won. So then we went top, and since then we didn't really look back. But when you had professionals in the team, older players like David Weir, Lee McCulloch, Stephen Davis, who kept a level-headed with the players, you know, didn't get really nothing distracted in the changing room or on social media or whatever it was. You know, we still did day in, day out. We joked in the changing room, but we came onto the training field, we worked hard. And for me to be a part of a winning team that year, to play 9 games in a row, after coming back from a defeat against Dundee United, 3-2, we went to Aberdeen, we won 1-0, and we beat Hearts. And I can't remember who was our home game. I think it was Hibs we played. I'm not sure.
Dundee United?
Yeah, I think it was. I'm not
Dundee United on a very wet night, Walter's last game.
Yeah.
If memory serves me correct.
Did we win that game? Do you know?
Yeah, we won that 2-0.
Yeah, so
Yelovich and Lafferty.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah. So then we went down to the last game of the season against Kilmarnock, and Celtic were home and Motherwell at that time. And that's when we, you know, the fate was in our hands. All we needed to do is, you know, win the game, basically. It doesn't really matter what Celtic did. We just had to win the game. What
was it like on the run up to that game on the Sunday? Because obviously both early kickoffs, we're away to Kilmarnock. So Celtic at home, so they're going to do the business there. Kilmarnock, a tricky place. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody in our wildest kind of imagination would have counted on a 7 minutes like we got. And again, you were heavily prominent. A lovely run during the second goal, brilliant first time pass into Stevie Naismith, who was in the form of his life at that point. Mm-hmm. What was the message in the dressing room beforehand, and how did you enjoy that 90 minutes if you could enjoy it in such a sort of pressure environment?
Well, if I look back at the time where we stayed in Glasgow the night before, and we heard Rangers fans outside the hotel, because we stayed at the Radisson Blu at the Central Hotel in Glasgow, and we travelled down from there on Sunday. But building up to the game, we knew it was a massive game, and the chat in the changing room before hand, Waller says, "Listen, it's just another game, go and win it." We knew at Kilmarnock we'll come out firing. At the time they had really an actual good team, Kilmarnock, so we knew it was going to be difficult. But when we go 3-0 up in 15 minutes, I think it was, even before Celtic kicked off, I think it was, we even touched the ball, we were 3-0 up, and it was incredible. I'll never forget that day. It was a dream come true to win the league down at Rugby Park. And we knew Celtic were going to win against Motherwell, because obviously it was a massive game for Celtic as well. So they thought we maybe have slipped up at Rugby Park, but we stuck together as a team, and we got the win, and we got the 3 points we needed. And when that whistle went, it was something I'll never forget.
At that point, we then knew that we had a new owner. Mm-hmm. We had Ali was obviously going to come in and take over. Mm-hmm. Did Ali change at all upon being announced that he was going to be the manager? Because that announcement came quite early. I think that came around February time, and the fans were. It's pretty fair to say the fans were split. There was a lot of excitement, I suppose, from even myself, because I had been an Ali McCoist's hero, grown up. He was an idol to me and things like that. But there was the other older heads who were maybe against it and thinking this was the wrong move. Did he change on the training pitch or in the dressing room, knowing that he was going to come into that management role?
Funny enough, he didn't actually. You know what Ali was like? He was still laughing, a joker. he was assistant manager, used to join in the wee boxes we did at training and the games. But when he became a manager, obviously you need to be the professional as you possibly can. And he was still one of the boys when you came into the manager, but you knew he was a gaffer when it came to a game day. He put his points across really, really well. He spoke well, and his man management was brilliant as well. But I think he learnt off the main man, Wylde, didn't he? So I think he learnt a lot off him for the past couple of years with working under him. And he had Kieran McDowell working and Ian Durant working with him at the time. And he tried just to build what already started at Ibrox.
When you look at how Ali and actually Durant and Kieran McDowell can handle things at that stage, Gregg, if what happened off the field had happened, do you think Rangers were going on and won the league that season as well? Obviously, they got off to a good start, and then the whole campaign just unfortunately unravelled for us.
Yeah, that time we played Motherwell away. I scored that season. The time things turned when we played Motherwell away, we won 4-5-1 at Fir Park, I'm sure. Then things turned after a couple of months into it. Can always remember it. That season, I think we could have won the league that year and retained the trophy, because we still had the same squad as the season before. So I was really positive that we would have won the league that season.
How difficult was it to kind of keep your mind on football thing? Because also the players would have known some of what was going on off the park, the headlines. As the season went on, especially, most of the headlines were about off things rather than what was happening on the park. How difficult was it to keep a focus, try and keep that title race going, and try and keep that hunt for silverware going, even though there was that massive cloud hanging over the club at that time? Yeah,
we knew. We've seen the stuff in the papers. Rangers were going to administration, Rangers this, Rangers that. But all we could do is, community training every day and just forget about it. We were still the same squad, still morale about the squad and the changing room, laughing and joking. We just kept getting into every game and win every game and just keep a cool head. Like I said previously, we had father figures in the team, older players that kept us level-headed and kept us on our feet. But it was hard to not to, how can I say it, think about what was happening behind the scenes, where we didn't really know what was going on at the time. And when it did come along, we were absolutely amused by it, to be honest.
When administration then obviously hit in the February, you were one of the guys that left the club not long after. You also made the decision just to wrap up your contract, not hold on for a transfer fee, not take any money out of the club, and you decided just to move on. I think you said at that time it was to try and help people behind the scenes at the canteen and ground staff and people behind the scenes at the club, to try and help them keep their jobs. Quite a mature and a big decision for a young guy with his career ahead of him, living the dream, playing for Rangers. Quite a big decision for you to make it that stage. Could you talk us through your thinking and your rationale behind it?
That just before that, a couple of weeks before, Alan McCoy's put me into the office and offered me a new deal, and I signed it there and then. I couldn't say no, because I wouldn't, you can't say no to a new contract to Glasgow Rangers. And it was a 5-year contract at the time, and a couple of weeks down the line, we played Hibs away in a reserve match where boys that haven't really played, and we came in that time and we said that we were going to administration, and we were like, wow. So that was that. And then we had a meeting with the administrators at the time, and they said that players would need to take pay cuts, blah blah blah, and then if anybody wants to come forward and help the club do so, come chat the door. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, help the club. The club's got no money at the time, and or whatever it was. So I went and spoke to my old man about it, mum and dad, and it was a hard decision to make, the biggest decision in my life, to be quite honest. So I stepped up and I said I wanted to help the club, help the staff behind the kitchen staff at the time, who I got on really well with. They would be out of jobs, they've had no money to pay for, their bills at home or whatever. And I thought, people think I was probably talking rubbish and, you know, being big time or whatever. You know, I've had that criticism, and I've had people saying, well done. You know, you can't really please everyone, but I did what I had to do, and I thought it was the best interest for the football club. And, you know, I thought, you know, just help the club and see what happens. And I done that, and then I seen somebody else doing it, and then a few other players did it. So it was a hard decision. It was one of the biggest ones I've ever made. But, you know, if I look back, would I have changed it? No, I wouldn't have changed it, because I thought, you know, I made the right choice.
I think that there's a lot of everybody in the squad at that time had to take their own personal, like you said, situation into consideration. Different people left at different times in different ways and for different reasons. Do you think that the fans will look back on different people in a new light, where you can see how things unfolded and the shambles that the club was at that time? I think some of the attitudes towards certain guys will remain very harsh. Attitudes towards other guys, and certainly like to yourself that made those kind of decisions, nobody will begrudge you or others for the way that they handled their exit in time.
No, I've had criticism, people saying that I'm money grabbing this and money grabbing that, or, you know, being big time, like I says, because I thought I'm bigger than the club or whatever it was. But that wasn't the case. You know, people have their own opinion on the situation, but I knew about the situation myself, that I wanted to help the club, and that was the case. And there was players there that some of the players did the exact same, some of the players stayed, but there was I took it on board, and I'm such a young player at the time, and I thought, you know, to help the club and just do it.
Do you ever wonder how your career might have panned out if you stayed in that Rangers team, obviously then wanting to go down to the third division and try and work your way back up from a purely football sense? Do you think it was still the right thing for your career, and then also going down south and having a crack at it and playing for the clubs that you played for since?
You know, I wouldn't, like I says there, I wouldn't have changed it at all. You know, when I left, I went down south and enjoyed my time down there. I was down south for nearly over 7 years since I left Rangers. Obviously, I've been to Aberdeen, St Mirren. But no, if I look back, I wouldn't have changed any of it at all. You know, people think because I don't want to play in the lower leagues, or that's not the case. You know, if I stayed and, you know, see out my contract, I would have, if we never went into that situation we were in. But I helped the club as much as I possibly can, and hopefully, and, you know, I went down south and things planned out really well for me then.
What you up to these days? When can we see you back playing football again? I also had a couple of clubs in the last few years now. How's things going for you just now, and how do you see next? How do you see the season going for you, trying to get yourself back in somewhere?
At the moment, you know, I was at Plymouth for 2 years, and then I went to Millwall for a year and a half, and then I went back to Plymouth for the third year. And I thought, you know, this is so far away. I had to be near my family, and I was getting married at the time, so I had to move back up the road, and Livingston came on the phone, and, you know, things never worked out there at all. You know, you can just, you know, wasn't my football ability. I don't know what it was. You know, you never gave me a chance. You know, if you ask any of the boys, I just didn't get a chance at cracking the whip at Livingston, and so I got married. I'm settled down now with my wife, our own house and stuff now, and at the moment I haven't got a club. I've had a few options to go back, but I just need to go somewhere, enjoy my football. It doesn't matter where it is or what level. You know, I'm 28. I just want to be playing every Saturday afternoon and midweek and just enjoy my football again, get back with a smile on my face. And, you know, it's hard to know because I'm not in you know, waking up and getting into training every day. But I've had a few options. I just need to, maybe in the week or so, I'll take my time and hopefully I can get back in it sooner than later.
Great stuff. Well, hopefully we can see you back in the game as you know, sooner rather than later, and back playing and show what you can do again soon.
Cheers, Chris. Top man. Cheers,
Gregg. Before you leave us, obviously you've been really honest, and I just want to thank you for coming on. And
no, it's fine. No problem.
I mean, you were a vital part of the 2011 double winning team. In the running, and hopefully what followed after that, Rangers fans will remember the part you played, and as you said, as a young guy with a 5-year contract, you could have sat quite happily and took the money or whatever, but you did what you thought was right, and I have nothing but kind of admiration for that, to be honest with you. And it's nice that you've been able to put your side of it over. But before you go, to end it a wee bit more positively, what's your favourite sort of moment and memories at Rangers, and have you got any really sort of highlights from the dressing room that you can share with?
Memories that I'll never forget at the time. It was bonfire night, and I think there's a couple of stories actually, but this is the first one. But bonfire night was coming up, and Lee McCulloch knew a guy who can get fireworks, so he came in one day and said, does anybody want fireworks or rock for your family back home for the night time? So some of the boys said aye. So cut the story short, we bung fireworks, and then there was these firecrackers. You ever seen Home Alone? He puts a firecrackers outside the back door.
In the pan.
Yeah. In the pan, aye. So Lee McCulloch brought him in, and the session finished in the morning. And I don't know how you get it, but Kyle Laffey got into his locker. So Kyle Laffey went into his locker, and the boys were in the changing in the showers at the time. And they get in shower, and the place was steaming because they had the hot water. And so Kyle Laffey think it was funny to open an empty water bottle, and he put a couple lit inside a water bottle. And we were in the changing room. There was showers at the time. So he lets these firecrackers and sticks them in a water bottle and then chucks it into the showers. You think, what's he fucking chucking in the showers for? But you can't really see what's in it, because obviously it's steamed up with smoke, and to about a minute later, this bottle explodes. It cracks everywhere. And it just, I couldn't believe it. He sets a firework off in the changing room, and then the fire alarm goes off at the time, so we all had to get changed and leave at Murray Park. You're like, what the hell was that? It was firecrackers inside a water bottle. Laffy thinks it was funny to let a firecracker stick it in a bottle and put it in the showers, and then it banged off in the showers. What was our story? We were playing Man United. It was Kyle Laffey again. We played Manchester United at home. Kyle Hutton made his debut. And we were staying at Mar Hall, and we were coming into train at Murray Park on the morning of the game just to shape up. And Kyle Laffey would come off the bus, don't know why, suddenly he wants to jump my back. So he jumps my back and slips and falls and breaks two of his fingers. And we were like, what's he doing? And his finger was actually back to front. And I was like, you're jumping my back for? And I thought, no, I'm going to get criticised here with the gaffer and that. But funny enough, Kyle Laffey popped up and said it was his fault for jumping my back, and then falls off and breaks his finger. And then that's how Kyle Hutton made his debut at that time. So, but there was a few stories, but to rhyme off, I couldn't really. There's so many. But I've been back at Ibrox since. I was at Ibrox 2 weeks ago to watch Feyenoord. And I've been at Hampden and Celtic. I played Rangers in the League Cup semi-finals and that. So I've been back at Ibrox, and the fans have been great. I couldn't talk high enough. The best support in the world, best support. Growing up as a Rangers fan, my old man's a Rangers fan. Most of my pals are Rangers fans. So to look back at my career, I've enjoyed every single minute. I couldn't say the best years of my life, but don't tell my wife that, because obviously I've been married, she'll go from that.
It's all right. I don't tell my wife what I think of Rangers and her anyway. So, Gregg, listen, as I said, thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining us. On behalf of everybody, I'm sure we all wish you well and hope that you can get a new club pretty soon, get yourself back in the game, and we certainly hope to see your name back in the football world very soon, mate.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me on. And we much appreciate any time, and filming me again. Just where I'm at. All right.
Appreciate it, Gregg. Thanks very much, mate.
Thanks,
have a good one. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So a huge thank you to Gregg Wylde for dropping in and speaking to us. And as we said, I'm sure we all wish Gregg well. Hopefully he gets another new team very soon. But looking at Rangers now, looking at ourselves, obviously fantastic result in Europe at home to Feyenoord. A good result against Livingston, and then we went to St Johnstone. We'll beat them 4-0. We've hammered a very, very poor, and I enjoy saying that, a very poor Aberdeen side. We've then went to Young Boys, and we've kind of thrown it away a wee bit there. And then we have a great result yesterday at Ibrox against Hamilton 5-0. Kathryn, how have you how have you enjoyed Rangers' form and the kind of bounce back from the Old Firm defeat?
I think it's just everything that Rangers fans wanted. We wanted the reaction after that result. Obviously, everyone was really disappointed, especially with the game being at Ibrox. But we're top of the league now, and we've responded well. And even games like Livingston, where we've not maybe played the best football, we're still winning the games, and that's really all we can ask for. Yeah,
obviously I've forgotten we actually went to Livingston and won 1-0 in the cup there as well. And at that time there was a lot of criticism, I think, for Rangers' performance. I made the point that going to a ground like Livingston, sometimes you have to grind it out. Are Rangers impressing you this season in the games that they've had to grind out that perhaps maybe last season we wouldn't have?
Yeah, I think that's the difference from last season. Even when Celtic have slipped up last year, I don't think we capitalised once on those results, whereas twice now we've had the opportunity and we've taken it. And I think if you're going to win titles, that's what you need to do. You need to take all those opportunities, and we're finding ways to win. Obviously, the last 2 home games have been with plenty of goals as well, which is nice. So it's looking good, and hopefully we can just keep this going.
You're obviously a footballer as well, so you maybe watch things differently to like myself when I'm watching the team and things like that. But who has impressed you in this Rangers side recently?
I think most recently is Barisic. I think he's obviously had, rightly so, quite a bit of criticism. It's took him quite a bit of time to get into probably the player we've seen when he came to Ibrox. Was it Aussie Jack? Is that the team? But I think he's starting to now be the player that we've seen, and I think most recently he's probably been the most impressive for me.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point, and it's probably a good point. I've given Borna quite a bit of stick, and I've questioned whether he had the heart, whether he had the mentality, and this was something obviously, Chris, we've discussed before. Chris, do you think Barisic has turned the corner now? Is he capable of sustaining this? And I mean, from my point of view, the last, I think, 6 games, he's been a regular 7, 8 out of 10 performance. He's obviously got a magnificent left foot. Have we solved that left back conundrum, or has he solved the left back conundrum?
I think when we spoke a couple of weeks ago, we did our transfer special after the end of the window, I think we're all in agreement that if Rangers had sold Barisic in the summer, nobody would have been that upset. I think that a lot of the fans would have taken their money that they got from, or they paid to Ozilek, and said, well, we've tried, he's failed, it's not really worked, let's go and reinvest in our left back. If you say to people now, would you cash in and try and get £2 million for him? Everybody would say no chance, because there's definitely a player in there. I've always thought he had something, like yourself. I've had doubts whether he could get it out on a more regular basis and really show how good he can be. We spoke to Steven Gerrard, I think it was after the St Mirren game, when he also scored the free kick that won Rangers the match that day. And his faith in Barisic has never been doubted. He's always had the belief that Barisic would turn out to be the first choice left back and turn out to be the player that he thought he was when he signed him. I think over the last few weeks, as Kathryn said, we've finally started to see bits of that, not just in terms of the goals that he's scored, but I think he's looked a bit more solid defensively. He looks to have just a bit more belief, a bit more confidence, and a bit more drive about him as well. He looks a different player, because I think he's now a different character and a different man than when he arrived in Glasgow 18 months or so ago. You've really seen him grow into the role of not just a Rangers player, but a Rangers first team player as well. And if he can continue to improve and impress, that left back slot that we discussed so often, that's now Barisic's to give away. Now you look at Halliday, he's fallen at the pecking order. Also, John Flanagan's got a knock at present and is still injured. But how Flanagan gets back in the team, how Halliday gets back in the team when Barisic is playing as well, it's going to be really, really difficult for them. So I think it'll be a case of long may that continue as far as Steven Gerrard and Rangers are concerned.
Something that's happened in the last couple of games at home to Aberdeen and at home to Hamilton has been quite interesting. In these games, Rangers have maybe huffed and puffed. I think that's fair to say previously. But the application and the attitude, and there's been a difference maker. And he was somebody that some people were questioning his arrival in the summer. But Gregg Stewart has come into the team. He's played just off of obviously the front man, who Morelos against Aberdeen Defoe yesterday, and he's done it fantastically well. There's no doubt he's got a tremendous left foot and an ability to twist and turn, and his vision, as we've seen for the first goal for Jermaine Defoe yesterday, is fantastic. Is this now proven that Rangers' strategy in the summer is correct, and perhaps the guys that people doubted are now going to really come into the fore? Kathryn, what's impressed you about Gregg Stewart?
I think just he got his opportunity last week, and I think he really took it. There was obviously a few players who could have been man of the match last week, but for me, he was one of the standouts. And then obviously he came on as a sub on Thursday night, and then again yesterday. He's really just taking his chance. I think he's had to be patient, and it's not surprising with the midfield we've got. But I think when these players get the opportunity, that's what they have to do. They need to take their chance, and I think he's definitely done that. And I think probably surprised quite a lot of fans, including myself, but in a good way.
Chris, what do you think Gregg Stewart has brought to Rangers? I mean, he's a different player than Arfield. Arfield, is a very good runner. Gregg seems to play in between the lines, and this is something that we've not had. He's obviously a very intelligent player, a lovely left foot. How have you saw his transition into the first team?
I think perhaps the problem for Gregg Stewart was how people viewed his signing in the summer. People thought he was coming in as a striker and he was going to be back up to Morelos and Defoe. That was never really going to be his role, because Morelos and Defoe do a certain job, which is very different to the job that Steven Gerrard was always going to ask Stewart to do. I think if you look at Stewart as back up to Arfield in that role, just off the striker, his signing then makes more sense. And as you both said, we've seen it in the last couple of weeks just how effective he can be, especially against teams that are compact, that are hard to break down. If you say we go and play Gregg Stewart at Parkhead in December, probably not. It's probably not going to be the game for him. But I think if you look at those type of games at Ibrox, when teams really make it difficult for you, he's got that a nice turn the direction. He's got a wee turn the pace. He's got a good eye, as you saw with the assist for Defoe yesterday. He can make some great passes as well. He's got something a wee bit different to Arfield, who's a bit more leggy, a bit more energetic, will cover more ground. But Stewart has that wee bit different, something that Aribo, I think they perhaps missed it in the Old Firm game at Ibrox. They're needing somebody just to link middle to front. It was Aribo that got the nod that day. He's perhaps not suited for that role. Gregg Stewart perhaps is, but I think the way that people saw him was probably wrong in the summer, but the way that people see him now is probably how Steven Gerrard always thought he would be fit into the squad. He's not going to be a starter every week, but he's certainly going to have a big role to play over the course of the season.
Kathryn, somebody that stood out for me, and just I absolutely love to watch him. I think he makes everything look so effortless. And even yesterday, and despite a hat-trick from Jermaine Defoe, I thought he was man of the match. How much have you enjoyed, and how much do you watch Stephen Davis on a regular basis for Rangers?
Yeah, I think when I was talking about Barisic earlier, Davis was probably the next one I would have said. Obviously, when he first came in last season, there was a lot of fans saying, he's past it. He's never going to kind of reach that level that he had when he was first at Rangers. But I think this season especially, him and Ryan Jack in midfield have been really, really good. And I think it's funny with Davis because he almost does it all unnoticed. You don't really see him that much throughout the game. But when you think back and, yesterday you just look at the game and you think he just really does make a difference. Just simple things, really just getting on the ball and moving it quickly and even winning it back. He's not the most physical player, but he wins the ball back a lot for us, and I think he's so important, and he's the kind of player you need to win titles.
Chris, is it getting carried away, or is it fair to say that Stephen Davis currently at the moment is playing as well as anybody else in the country?
I don't think they're getting carried away by saying that. I think if you look at his performances, not just in the last couple of weeks, everybody has been excellent. His performances over the course of the season, especially for a guy his age to play as much football as he has done. He's maybe one of the ones you think Gerrard will dip him in and out. I spoke to him after the final game at Ibrox, and he's more than content to keep playing every single week. I think he's the type of guy that the more he plays, the better he is going to get, because he keeps fit, he keeps sharp. And we spoke to Gary McAllister a few weeks ago, and he reckoned he was playing the best football of his career. That's a big call to make. We consider how influential and how excellent he was first time around at Rangers, and obviously the great work that he did down in the Premier League with Southampton. I don't know if it goes far to say he's better than he's ever been over the last few weeks. He's certainly been excellent. He's such an important part of the Rangers team. Also, as Gregg was alluding to earlier on, a huge part of the Rangers squad. You think it's only him and Alan McGregor in that squad that have actually won a league title for Rangers over the course of the season. As the title race develops, Stephen Davis is going to have a huge impact both on and off the pitch for Rangers.
Looking back, obviously, I think we've had 8 games since the defeat at home to Celtic. The players have really bounced back, but something that's impressed me is the speed and the tempo that's now in Rangers general play on a match day. You seen it at St Johnstone after the Feyenoord game. We were a wee bit this is what I mean, kind of huff and puff in the first half, but second half, the pace and the kind of application, it now looks like Rangers, to me, it looks like when we're going forward now, we can score. Whereas at times last season when I watched this, I was wondering where the goals were going to come from. There's still a lot of players to come into the Rangers team. Ryan Kent is a massive summer signing, and he's not really featured at all. Unfortunate to get injured early on. The competition for places is red hot. It's a situation where if you don't perform, you can find yourself out of the team. And it's led people to question the kind of performances of James Tavernier and Connor Goldson. Kathryn, as a support, I think it's fair to say that it's either it's terrible or it's absolutely fantastic in the eyes of the Rangers support. What have you seen from James Tavernier this season? And do you think that the calls to perhaps take him out of the team have been justified?
I think we've got probably quite a harsh fan base, including myself. I think that it just comes with the expectations of Rangers Football Club as well. I think obviously on Thursday when Tav made a couple of mistakes, Rangers fans probably in the heat of the moment are quite angry with him, and people say, oh, he shouldn't play on Sunday and stuff like that. I think that's ridiculous. I think every footballer will make mistakes, but I think he bounced back well on Sunday yesterday. So I think we are quite harsh on the players. I think Connor Goldson, I've been one who's quite critical of him recently. I think, again, it's just because of the options we've got at centre-back now, and even George Edmondson yesterday had a really good game. So I think it's just the case of if players aren't playing well, then, they should be rotated, because that's why we have a big squad. It's to make sure those high standards are constant.
Chris, where are you on the form of James Tavernier and Connor Goldson? And the reason I ask is because obviously there's been such a kind of a social media discussion regarding them. I must admit, I don't see it with James Tavernier. I don't see any way where we should be taking him out of the team. I think he's too vital. Thursday against Young Boys, they were 2 extremely poor mistakes. But Tav does this for me. I mean, he has those moments, and in 6 months he'll be storming. And people, the first thing they say is that James Tavernier isn't Rangers captain, and that frustrates me, because even if you look back on the game away at Kilmarnock, we went 1 each, and with 10 minutes left, Tav drove that team on. His crossing ability, he's almost every game he'll present an opportunity right on the plate for somebody, as you've seen yesterday with Connor Goldson. And Matt Polster did come on yesterday. He had a good wee cameo. But is it wrong to say that Tav is probably one of the ones that are irreplaceable in the first team.
I don't know if you say he's irreplaceable, but it would be very, very difficult to replace in the first team. Certainly, there's nobody in the squad at the moment that would come in and do the job like James Tavernier does. Matt Polster, we've seen a couple of times for 10, 15 minutes at a time. Nobody knows if he's any good or not. If he was any good, he'd been in the team before now. John Flanagan is solid, he's steady, he'll do a job for you. He's not Tav in an offensive sense. If you take that out of the team, it's such a huge part of the way that Rangers play. The comment of he's not a Rangers captain, he's not Rangers captaincy class, that always kind of amuses me slightly, because nobody, unless you're in that dressing room or you're around about the place often, you don't know what Tav's like as a person, you don't know what he's like as a captain, you don't know how he leads. That seems to be a social media thing, or if you don't see him ranting and raving and you don't see him digging players out, he's then not doing something, he's not leading by example. I think the way that he comes back from his mistakes shows that he leads by example. He obviously missed the penalties against Progress and Feyenoord, steps up, scores the next couple. That's an example of how you step up in those big moments, how he's got the mentality to be a Rangers player. I think he's got the mentality to be a Rangers captain as well. If Steven Gerrard, arguably one of the finest captains of the game in this country has ever seen, if he believes that he's good enough to lead the Rangers side out every week, that should be good enough for the fans. So if Gerrard didn't feel he was good enough to be in the team, didn't feel he was the right man to wear the armband, Tavernier wouldn't be in the team as often as he is, and he wouldn't be leading the team out every match day. I think the fans need to have a wee bit more faith and a bit more trust, if you like, in the manager. He's not picking these players out of sentiment. He's picking these players because he feels rightly or wrongly, and he has got it wrong on occasions. And we've seen that in the past where he's got it wrong and he's held his hands up there. But Gerrard's putting the team out on the park every week that he feels is the best one. And certainly when it comes to Tavernier and Golson, these are two guys that have won him more games, that have been that have produced huge performances for him in more games than they've sold the jerseys and let him down. And that's why these type of guys are in the team every week.
Before we finish up, we're obviously going to talk about Rangers being top of the league. It's wonderful to be there at this moment. Chris, there's been developments on the director of football front. Rangers have acted pretty quickly. Ross Wilson, obviously, of Southampton, has been linked before. He was first choice before Mark Allen. Mark Allen's obviously come in, and it's fair to say whatever opinion we have of Mark Allen, he's left Rangers in a better state than when he came in. So Ross Wilson, potentially we're at a stage now where it's quite far down the line in discussions. He's had assurances from Rangers, he's had assurances from Gerrard. What can you tell us about the Ross Wilson situation at this moment?
He will be the next Rangers director of football. That's the most important factor here. As you're saying, Stevie, the deal for Ross Wilson was very close before, when Rangers were in the market for director of football a couple of years ago. Like, he fell through late on, and it didn't quite fit for Ross at that time. He now inherits the job in a very different position than he would have got it before. I say, for all the comment and everything that's been said about Mark Allen, you can't deny that he has left Rangers in a better place than he found it. And we can all disagree with how he did certain things and how things have unfolded at times. But he does deserve a bit of praise for putting in certain things at the club. And obviously, the appointment of Steven Gerrard has been such a huge part of that as well. Ross Wilson now finds Rangers a more complete club, a more complete operation. And I think there's now a real foundation there for Ross to come in and put in some of the things that he's been used to working at Southampton. He's not somebody that's just got an academy background. He's operated at a high level down at Southampton for the last few years. I think he now feels it's the time to come back up the road. He's obviously been up at Falkirk before. He'll come back up the road, and he's now working in an elite environment more akin to what he has been over the last few years. And he's coming in at a really exciting time for Rangers and for Scottish football. So I think it would turn out to be a really good appointment for Rangers. It's a really interesting one that they've finally managed to get their man and attract a Premier League director of football up here. I'm expecting over the next couple of days, a couple of weeks, that'll will be ratified. And
Kathryn, Rangers have obviously went top of the league. Personally, I feel there's a bit of a different feeling to it now. Rangers have scored 14 goals without reply in the last 3 games. They look like they've got more purpose. They look like they've got more intent, and we need to keep grounded, obviously. Last time we went anywhere near the top of the league, December last year, the very next game we lost, and it very quickly fell apart for us. Do you think that we can stay there, and do you think there's a difference and a different mentality to watching Rangers at this moment?
Yeah, that's it. I think obviously last year we all got carried away and thought that was League One at Christmas time, and obviously the results after that were really disappointing. So as good as it is to say we're top of the league at the moment, I think the players have been, saying it. We just take it one game at a time, and I think that's all we can do until May, because I think Celtic have shown quite easily how easy it is to drop points 2 weeks in a row. So I think Rangers just need to focus on themselves and make sure that every week they're going out and keeping clean sheets and scoring goals, even if it's 1 goal, just to get those 3 points. That's the main thing. But obviously, more recently, we've looked really convincing, which is pleasing, and it gives us a bit of hope that we can carry this on and hopefully be celebrating in May.
Before, Chris, we come to you and talk a wee bit about that. Kathryn, just wanted to ask you if you could tell us all, how has things been going for you down at Durham? I had seen some stuff, obviously, on social media. It was right, it was 12 points out of 12, if I've looked at it properly. How are things for you, and how are you enjoying your football this season?
Yeah, we've played 5 games so far, 4 in the league and 1 in the cup, and we've won all 5, so it's going really well. Couldn't have asked for a better start. I think we've played a couple of teams who are probably up there to be challenging, so having beat them, that's nice. However, it's obviously a long way to go. We're really early on, so I think it's just the same as Rangers, 1 game at a time, and hopefully just keep picking up the points, and we'll see where we are. But it's enjoyable. It's always good when you're winning, so can't complain.
That is good news. Hopefully, when you join us again, we're still saying the same thing for Rangers and for Durham, so that's good news. Chris, just finally, we come to you. Obviously, you covered football and covered Rangers for a number of years. It's been a long time since Rangers were in this position. And yeah, it's only 8 games in, and we should remain grounded. It really is worth that. But is it vital for Rangers that we come back from the international break and, put our foot down again and keep this form up? Because I don't know, obviously, as a sports writer, it's maybe more difficult for you, but for myself, I really want to see Rangers, stay at top, build the momentum, and see how they handle it in terms of, not being ahead and having to chase. How do you view it, and what's your thoughts on it at the moment?
That's probably the only question that, if you look at it from a Celtic perspective, that's the only question that they've really got to answer now. How do they handle Rangers actually being proper challengers? They got kind of close on a Graham Murphy, and then also that season imploded. Never really got close enough under Stephen Gerrard last season to maintain it and really be there week in, week out. If Rangers can go on another run and go and win next 5 or 6 in a row, that then sends out a bit of a statement that they are here and are there to put down a more realistic challenge. Now, Celtic may handle that as they have done it in the last few years, and may then go and put a run together themselves and can move away. They have that mark of champions. I feel like this Rangers squad, apart from your McGregors and your Davises, they don't know how to go and win titles, and that's the big thing that Rangers still have to go and prove. But I said in pre-season, I've said since, there's a real belief about the Rangers squad this season. They know that if they're at their game, they know they're more than good enough to go and win the title this season. And I think the more that builds, the more the momentum builds, that confidence is only going to grow and grow. but they also won't allow each other to get ahead of themselves. Now, Stephen Gerrard knows how difficult it is to go and win silverware. He's not the type of guy that's going to allow MD in that squad to start thinking the job done. Certainly not after only going top of the table for only the second time since he got to the club. So there's still plenty of hard work to do, still plenty of football to be played. But I think you should expect a more solid and a more sustained title challenge from Rangers this season. Whether it's going to be good enough come May, only time will tell.
Well, it's a perfect way to finish this podcast. It's always brilliant to do this, and a massive thank you to Gregg Wylde for coming on. It really was a good insight into his time at the club, and I hope that people listened to it and enjoyed it. And also, massive thanks to regular guest Mr. Chris Jack. Always gives up his time, happy to come on and help. Chris, thanks very much for coming on again, mate.
No problem at all, Stevie. We'll catch up again in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, let's hope that when we do this for next month, we're in the same position, top of the league. That's the aim. And also, huge thanks again to Kathryn Hill. Kathryn taking time out to come and join us again. And we wish her and Durham all the best until we get you on again, Kathryn, hopefully soon.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks a lot for having me.
So all that's left to be said is a massive thank you to Gersnet and in particular our engineer Graham. Without Graham's help, none of this is possible. So it's a huge thank you to him, and also a huge thank you to our sponsors who are G4 Claims. You can find them on Twitter. Just type in G4 Claims and they will come up. Any issues with your car, any insurance things, go and check them out. Tell them we sent you and they will look after you. And also to our new sponsor, Kerry Crazy Costumes, and that's all K's. Kerry Crazy Costumes, all K's, and you can find them on Facebook. Go and check them out. And it's a huge thank you to these guys, because without these guys we can't do this. And there's nothing better than getting on and talking about Rangers and keeping positive. And as we've said, and the message will always be from 4LadsHadADream podcast, it is always that things that are good, we're in a good place, we're in a good position, and we're fully behind the club, and we're fully behind the team. And Stephen Gerrard's doing a great job, and hopefully this is it for us. We're top of the table, and it does feel good. Until next time, enjoy the international break, and let's hope Rangers come back absolutely firing and keep us where we belong, because we are Scotland's premier team. We are back where we belong. Until next time, folks, thanks for joining us. Ignore the nonsense, the irrelevant, and the noise. Thank you.